Today I want to talk to you about choices and how choices will affect your life and your work as you go along. Because they make you what you truly are, not just your abilities, and that's a bit taken from Harry Potter. Every choice you make today will sow a seed for what you eventually become, how you spend your time, how you use your time. Are you a time pass person, or a phrase which I cannot subscribe to, because passing time until what? Death. Why do things to just pass the time? You have to use it. What subjects you take today, what job you accept finally, how you function under a boss, and also how you function under a boss who is corrupt. Do you obey him blindly, or do you stand up for your values? Do you walk out? Many of you will be faced with these choices. I will give you a few examples of right and wrong choices that I have made in my 40 years in journalism. As the young man mentioned, that I started the magazine India Today, 1975, with my father. I was going to tell you the details of how it started. I think it's too boring. We just put it together. He came up with a tabloid, sort of a shaped magazine, and brought it to me in New York, and I told him it was horrible, he couldn't do it like that, and he asked me to come to Delhi to create the magazine, and I created the news magazine format with the red border and that kind of thing. The one thing at that time was that there was only the Illustrated Weekly, which I'm sure all of you have heard about if you haven't seen. At that time, there was no news magazine that existed in India. The Illustrated Weekly was not a news magazine. It was a general information, entertainment, I don't know what it was. It was just a general magazine. There was no news reported there. So the one thing that I would like to give to you is that if you're ever thinking of starting something on your own, always consider a product that does not exist in the market. That was one good choice that I made, that we decided to start a magazine of which the format did not exist in the country. In 1988, when I returned to India, I told you about the product that I started, Newstrack. That was an invention from necessity, as the cliche goes, because we weren't allowed to broadcast. And again, there was no such product in the country. There were many people who tried to imitate it afterwards, none of them worked. But if you're the first one there and you have the idea and you're doing something which nobody else has done, you're already on a winning streak. We had many scoops, as mentioned. We had many adventures in Newstrack. It was a pretty wild time. We've shown a man being bludgeoned to death during elections on tape. Because of that, the government in power at that time closed my brother's printing press down for 6 months as a reprisal and revenge. We in Newstrack were the only teams in Ayodhya who actually caught all the build-up, the preparations, the rehearsals, and speeches before the destruction of the Babri Masjid. On the day itself, we showed on camera journalists being beaten and bleeding, while other journalists ran for their safety. Newstrack journalists hung in there. The sound recordist Ashok Bhanot hid the tapes under the bed of a priest in a mandir to retrieve them later. We caught a mutiny on site, where police juniors refused to obey the orders of the SP to stop the destruction. We showed bureaucrats sitting on a balcony with tea and biscuits, watching the violence. The tape was banned by the censor board, completely. I mean, this was not a time where they were telling me to take out one thing, which they used to do. They said the whole tape is banned. So I appealed to the appellate tribunal in Mumbai, and there was this wonderful man, Justice Lenton, who was heading it. And he saw it and he passed the order. Not only should this tape be banned, it should be required viewing for all citizens of India. I have to tell you about some bad choices I've made. This is a confession, but I think you learn something from it. There was a case of a badminton player called Saeed Modi. He was murdered. We got on tape in an interview a very drunk prosecutor on that case, on camera, saying all kinds of self-incriminating things. His wife called me up and pleaded that we should interview him again. Other people called me up and said his children were in college and they would commit suicide in shame, and there was a lot of pressure, and I am ashamed to say that I succumbed. Another bad choice, my second one. I was running a magazine called Wa India. We had circulated, which I thought was a brilliant and unique idea, report cards with the names of all the High Court judges. We asked senior lawyers to rate the judges in knowledge of the law, honesty and integrity, courtesy, punctuality and efficiency. So we had a report card like that, and they would grade it from 1 to 10, how much they would give that particular judge. We published those report cards, and I got a notice from the Supreme Court for contempt of court. This was very serious. There's a full bench, and apparently the full bench only sits when somebody dies. So we were called up there. Accused along with me were my editor and the reporter who had done the story. I was asked to render an apology or go to jail. Now, the way the system works in India, I could have gone to jail for a week or a couple of hours and become a hero in the eyes of the media. And Tihar jail is actually not a bad place ever since Kiran Bedi fixed it up. But my editor and reporter were not known names. They would have gone to jail, and they would throw away the key on them. That is how I justified it then. Today, I regret it. The pressure from my family, who did not want me to go to jail, and the pressure, of course, as I told you, of seeing my editor and reporter thrown in jail for a long period of time, was pretty strong. So I wrote an apology and sent it to my lawyer. Today, my most recent choice, which is a good one so far, I think, is starting with 4 Partners, this website which was introduced to you. It is a new product. Again, it's been brought out because of, I think, the need of the times, because of the bad journalism, because of the corruption. What we do is we critique the press. So I interview anchors. I have interviewed Arun Shourie, Karan Thapar, Barkha on our website. A lot of our interviews most of our interviews are webcast. And the idea is that somebody has to make an effort to make journalism more accountable. And we've come into being only because of the state of journalism, as I said. Journalism, the fourth estate, is an important part of making a democracy work. As you know, that's a cliche. Obviously, unless the citizens of India are not well informed, they cannot make good choices. But because of the rogue elements that have entered into the fourth estate, in fact, in every estate, we need to clean up our act. The press is supposed to be the watchdog of the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. But when the watchdog is corrupt, who is watching the watchdog? We need to probe and investigate ourselves. Unless we do that, the government will come in with serious regulation, and that I do not support. What I do support, which is not a very popular idea with journalists, is a journalist ethics and practice exam and a required license to practice journalism with a board like the legal and medical profession have that can suspend or bar a lawyer or doctor for malpractice. I think we should, as journalists, have that. That itself will bring in self-regulation. But the choice here is, are you going to live your life with integrity, or are you going to succumb to the zeitgeist of the day, which is corruption? I hope not. I would hope your generation creates a new zeitgeist where the currency is honesty, maintaining the nobility of your profession, and still being highly successful in your achievements. I will end with a quote from Oscar Wilde. I won't tell you that the world matters nothing, or the world's voice, or the voice of society. They matter a good deal. They matter far too much. But there are moments when one has to choose between living one's own life fully, entirely, completely, or dragging out some false, shallow, degrading existence that the world in its hypocrisy demands. You have that moment now. Choose.
My question is, you've spoken at great length about why corrupt practices in the media should rightly be condemned. I was I want to talk to you about a different kind of phenomena prevalent in the media world these days, which also has a lot of critics. That's a phenomena of this of media activism and what its critics call it the trial by media. And like some people say it has done a lot of good, but there's also a lot of criticism of it, especially of late. And that's one of the reasons why there's a lot of talk about the need for regulation. So I just want to know your take about this on media activism and this trial by media, and whether you feel some amount of regulation is justified because of this.
No, you've touched on two separate things which I will answer. One is media activism, and the second is... what was the second thing you said? Huh?
The trial by media.
Trial by media. Okay, first, activism. The point is that most people, there's journalist activism which was first practiced in this country by Arun Shourie, where he sent a reporter to buy a girl from Bihar to prove that this is what is happening to girls in Bihar. Before he did that, he had informed the Supreme Court that he was planning to do it, and he was planning to break the law to do it to show that it would be done. That was the original form of what was called journalist activism. Trial by media, I think, is a serious charge. I think that this is exactly what happened in the Aarushi Talwar case. And there have been many instances where the journalists and news organizations and television have really stepped up too fast and too soon and too much without going into all the facts. And that is, people are just proven guilty. I mean, today an accusation becomes the guilt. That's it, that the person is guilty, an accusation. And I do plead guilty. I think journalism has not restrained itself enough. In most cases, an accusation is usually enough to presume guilt, which is not correct. Thank you very, very much.